Hey everyone, I recently got stuck in a weird Tubi fantasy rut, so this week I'm going to be ranking the Mythica movies. Show of hands if you've even heard of these movies. Yeah, that's about what I thought. There are 6 of them, in fact. There was 5 released between 2014 and 2016, and then there was another one released just last year. Just for those of you who have not seen these but might be interested, I'm going to put a general spoiler alert. I will try to mention if I'm going to actually talk major spoilers. Let's dive right in. Starting off, number 6 is Mythica Stormbound. Okay, so this is the one that was released after the 8-year gap. The next thing I can say about this one is that it is a worthy continuation of the series. The 5th movie kind of wrapped things up very nicely with a bow, but it made it clear that there were more adventures to come to some degree. This one is good. It never quite captures that same magic from the first 5 movies. Well, not fully anyway. It comes close. It comes very close. But it doesn't quite reach that point.
Who the hell is out there tonight? Huh. Guess there's someone even unluckier than you and me, Lay. You gonna open a door, Gib? What, you gotten too feeble to slide the bar yourself, old dwarf?
Aye.
Who's there?
Master Dwarf, my name is Eamon Thadric. I have a young woman with me who's been injured. We're both in need of shelter tonight.
Drop your heads,
What?
so I can see your faces.
Good evening.
And the woman? Anyone else out there with you?
I would hope not on this dreadful night.
However, considering that this was the director's feature debut, it's pretty impressive in that regard. It's well shot, the performances are good, which can be partially attributed to the actors, but the director still has a hand in that. I do like the story they went with. I like that they still have connections to the first 5 movies. This is, for all intents and purposes, a legacy sequel, with the time gap and everything. Considering it came out last year, there is a chance that we'll get another one, and I am looking forward to that if it happens. But ultimately, it does feel like a step down. My score is 3 out of 5. Number 5 is Mythica: A Quest for Heroes. This movie, I believe the word is troporific. It uses a lot of tropes and cliches from this type of fantasy movie, but unlike a lot of other movies, it actually uses them instead of simply relying on them, if that makes sense. Like, it's not just presenting them and that's it. Like, it's actually making good use of them. The characters start off as fairly archetypal, but throughout this movie and throughout the rest of the series, they develop into something more. The leads are all good. Nicola Posner is probably the weakest link of the 4, but she's still good.
We're here. Oh, well. Allow me. Dagon. And you are?
Tila, from the Order of Anisette.
A holy woman.
A little girl, a Vitalian, and a miscreant. Pray the goddess may bless our worthy cause.
Charming.
There is an orc encampment 10 leagues east. My sister is held there. We'll rescue her under cover of night.
You and I, under the covers at night. I like it. Except without the dress. All done up in white, you stick out like a lily in a pile of pig shite.
I mean, hell, even Kevin Sorbo is decent for all of his 3 minutes of screen time. Oh yeah, Kevin Sorbo is in these movies. I'm pretty sure he was a producer. And, thankfully, he doesn't get a lot of screen time, and most of his time is spent doing exposition. So, it's not like you have to look at his dumb face for a long period of time. And even when he's on screen, he's fine. He's not great, he's not bad, he's just fine. The fight choreography and the cinematography are both really good, though the editing is a little rough around the edges. It's fine for the most part. There's just a few weird cuts, or weird, like, janky edits. Considering this is a direct-to-video movie with an obviously low budget, the visual effects are surprisingly decent, especially the ogre. My score is 3 out of 5. Number 4 is Mythica: The Dark Spore. This one is a step up, and that is largely due to the introduction of Matthew Mercer as the series' primary villain.
Behold, the Dark Spore.
Sentry Centauri, Nimbus Octus Ur, Sentry Centauri, Nimbus Octus Ur.
Worship me as I reforge the heart of the Lich King.
Nimbus Octus Ur, Sentry Centauri, Nimbus Octus Ur, Sentry Centauri, Nimbus Octus Ur, Sentry Centauri.
Now, you will fulfill your true purpose in the ceremony.
Nimbus Octus Ur.
Lich King for 1,000 years. My power will rival the gods.
He will be the BBEG in all of the movies going forward. Part of why I like these movies is that it's like the new D&D movie or like The Legend of Vox Machina, speaking of Matt Mercer, where it feels like Dungeons & Dragons, but it doesn't feel like you're just watching people play Dungeons & Dragons. There's an actual story to it, instead of just bouncing around from adventure to adventure with minimal connection in between. The acting is all as good, if not better. I know Matt Mercer is an actor, but this is the movie that reminded me of that. It's like, oh, that's right, he's actually an actor. Even though, like, I've seen and heard him in other stuff. Actually, I don't think I've seen him acting in anything up until this point, so I guess that's why this was a minor revelation for me. I've just heard him act in things. Like this Suicide Squad Hell to Pay, and those animated Resident Evil movies that are much better than the live-action ones. Oh yeah, this man was Leon fucking Kennedy. He had a good career. Anyway, this is from the same director as the first movie, Anne K. Black, and from the 4 movies I've seen from her, this one is easily the best. My score is 3.5 out of 5. Number 3 is Mythica: The Necromancer. This is the only movie in the series directed by A. Todd Smith, and it is one of 2 feature-length films he is credited with directing on Letterboxd. As far as a second feature goes, pretty damn good. Definitely a small step up from part 2. It's really just like the story progression and the continued development of these characters is why this series is getting better as it goes on. So in this one, the party's fighter, who later multi-classes into Paladin, is kidnapped, and so they have to bring an evil replacement along to do a job in order to eventually get him back. And I like that, shaking up that dynamic. It's fun to have a party member who everybody hates, and who knows that everybody hates them, but who knows that they can't touch him, because if they do, their friend dies. That kind of thing almost always makes for some interesting dynamics. Especially because this one is just so very, very evil.
Your comrade lives to suffer another day.
Where do you keep those critters?
It wasn't easy for you to come with us, and I was wrong to accuse you. You see, I was not myself when I said...
Forget it. I owe more to Thane than anyone else.
Unfortunately, that does mean we get less of Adam Johnson in this one, but the rest of the cast makes up for it. And we do periodically cut back to him getting tortured, so it's not like he didn't get a paycheck for this one. I don't know if these first 5 movies were all planned out as one story, or how much of it was planned out, but like there are plot threads that carry through from the first movie all the way through and that to be wrapped up in sequels. And yet it never feels like, it never leaves you unsatisfied at the end of any of the movies. Like, enough is wrapped up at the end of each movie that what's not wrapped up doesn't really bug you, if that makes sense. Like, there is a minor villain who is introduced in the first movie and then doesn't really do much in that movie aside from getting Thane kicked out of his squad, and so setting him up to become part of the party. But aside from that, he didn't do much in the first week, but then he keeps popping up throughout, because, like, his attitude is, it's all about me. And he's that whiny, entitled bastard. I don't remember the actor's name, but he plays it very well. And that's one thing I love about this series, is the attention to... Movie timelines would love this shit. The attention to continuity throughout this series is very impressive. My score is 3.5 out of 5. Number 2 is Mythica Stormbound. This, and the movie after it, are the reason I even found this series in the first place. Because there's a movie on Tubi that was recommended to me called Saga, Curse of the Shadow, which I might include in something in the future, but for now I'll just say it's from the same director as Mythica 4 and 5, John Lyde. And it is one of the best non-D&D D&D movies I've ever seen. And so, like, having watched that and then rating that and reviewing it on Letterboxd, I checked the director and I found the Mythica series. It's like, oh, that's interesting. And so here we are. Anyway, Stormbound sees another minor plot thread, or at least minor character, that has been here since the very beginning. Hammerhead, the dwarf who runs the tavern where they periodically stop in to get bounties. And he is one of the few dwarves we see in this series, and he is one of my favorite characters in this series because he's rough around the edges and he will put his hammer through your face if he needs to, but he's also not an asshole. Like, he's a nice guy, he's a reasonable guy, he's just also pragmatic, which has both good and bad connotations. In terms of overall quality, this movie and The Necromancer are pretty much neck and neck. Necromancer has some things it does a little better, Iron Crown has other things it does a little better, it all kind of balances out. The reason I give this movie the edge is that more Matt Mercer.
What is this place?
We are banished to a dimension of shadow and ash, where nothing has ever lived, nothing for you to feed on.
You fool! What have you done?
You have no power here, Necromancer.
So this is your plan? How long do you think you can keep me here?
Well, I was planning on forever. But I'm not sure time has any meaning in this particular realm.
Clever. So, what now?
I thought maybe we could sit and chat, reminisce about days gone by.
Or I could just kill you.
It depends how good your channeling magic is. Do you even carry components?
Gojin, how soon you forget. I am the master of all magic.
He has more screen time in this movie, he has more of a presence in this movie than he did in the previous one. Which makes sense, because that movie's story wasn't as related to him, he was just always there in the background.
Your comrade lives to suffer.
Not physically.
Just kidding.
He's just, like, he is a constant presence looming over the story, if that makes sense. Kind of like the BBEG in a D&D campaign. My score is 3.5 out of 5. Finally, my number 1 is Mythica the Godslayer. This is the one movie in the franchise I would actually call great. At least by the standards of the franchise and just direct-to-video standards. Because you gotta have a different set of standards, but this is actually great. This feels like some shit straight out of Critical Role in terms of story progression. I don't remember when Critical Role started becoming a big thing. I don't know if this movie was influenced by Matt Mercer, or if Matt Mercer was influenced by this movie, or if it's just a coincidence, and they just have similar progressions of how things can go. Obviously, they're playing D&D, so that's not like a set storyline, but still. I don't know, it kind of reminded me of how certain plots progress in D&D, or in Critical Role. This is where this big story that has been going since the first movie comes to a head and is wrapped up. And I fucking love how things wrap up. For one, unlike a lot of fantasy series, there are actual consequences for people's decisions. Actually, that's not even unlike a lot of fantasy series. That's just like unlike a lot of fiction. There are actually lasting consequences to people's actions. Imagine that. This is the one where Matt Mercer is front and center as the villain, more so than ever before. And he is just eating up this role. He is clearly having a blast just being evil. And honestly, considering we don't learn a whole lot of Zorlok's backstory, Mercer gives him a decent amount of depth. Like, yes, he's evil, but, like, there are layers to the evil. And Mercer is largely to thank for that. The rest of the cast is all at their best. Nicola Posner is still the weakest link of the four leads, but she has improved, so I will give her that much. This is where I really want to sing the praises of the main Est character, Merrick, played by Melanie Stone. Throughout this whole series, her story, her ups and downs, is like the thing that's linking it all together, the thing that's carrying it, and it fucking works.
You have come to me at last, as I knew you would.
I had no other choice.
Your friends have turned against you. They know who you are, what you are, and what you must do. They could never understand us.
There is no us. I'm here to stop you. Kill you if I get the chance.
Would you like to try? The Darkspawn feeds me with the lives of every lost soul. I am infinite power.
But it's not enough to defeat the gods. For that, you still need my help.
Come then, and witness for yourself as the gods look on and do nothing. The subjects are made to suffer, even to death.
I love how her story wraps up. It is not how most heroes' journeys wrap up, but that's part of why it works. It's so fucking good. And again, I don't want to spoil shit, but goddamn, I fucking love it. The score is 4 out of 5. Hey everyone, have you even heard of these movies, much less seen them? For those of you who have seen these movies, what's your ranking? Let me know down in the comments. Like and subscribe and all that. If you don't like the video, tell me why, and try to be constructive, at the very least. And then, you know, maybe subscribe anyway. You'll be notified when I upload a new video, watch that, and tell me why that one sucks. Or maybe where I've improved, whatever the case may be. That's all for now. Stay safe in these crazy times.